Welcome to this episode of the People Dividend. I'm Mike Horne. I'm your host, and I am thrilled to have in our virtual studio today Saul Marquez. He is a prominent figure in healthcare digital marketing. He's the founder of and CEO of Outcomes Rocket, which is a global digital marketing agency that helps health technology companies that struggle to get customers or don't have enough customers to scale their business as quickly as they'd like. Saul brings over 20 years of experience in sales and marketing within the healthcare sector, and we're going to talk with him about how his journey began in sales and leadership roles at major players like Stryker, NuVasive, Medtronic, all big companies in the medical devices space, and many of our folks in our audience will recognize those, given how many people work in healthcare and biotech. But one of the things, and this is one of the reasons why I invited Saul to be a guest on our podcast today, is that he really he recognized the gaps that companies were faced with in strategy, digital marketing, commercialization, and he built this company. He founded this company, Outcomes Rocket, to address these challenges head on. And today he's successful at helping healthcare brands and businesses scale and thrive in the digital age. And Saul is also a host of a podcast called the Outcomes Rocket podcast, which has over 1,700 interviews and boasts a 4.8 star rating. And I've been a guest on Saul's podcast, but more importantly, I am so delighted, Saul, that you're in our studio today. And why don't you say a few words about yourself?
Hey, thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, with your amazing audience. Mike showed up to the podcast. He dropped major value to our listeners alongside health system CEOs and just amazing people in business. So, Mike, thank you for adding so much value to our audience. It's a pleasure to be here on with you. Look, our mission is to help 5,000 plus companies in the health tech space not be part of the statistics. And those statistics are 50% of all businesses fail after 5 years, and 97% of all businesses fail after 10 years. And if you're a larger company, it's a division, right? Your business might be too big to fail, but a division could fail, and you could fall short on a quarter. And oftentimes it's those things that we're working with on with clients that help bridge those gaps. And that's what we do, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have all this big company experience, Stryker, Medtronic. How did you escape that and build your career as an entrepreneur and as the founder of Outcomes Rocket?
Mike, thank you for the question. One of my favorite quotes is, "Your assets can become your liabilities." And oftentimes, if you get far enough in your career, and you're looking to make explosive moves, the things that once propelled you are the things that are holding you back. And that actually is what was happening with me. I had a successful career, 17 years in med device, climbed the ranks. I was at my last day, I was an executive at Medtronic. And I remember to this day making the call. My palms were sweaty. My heart was beating out of my chest. I had literally the night before was with my wife, and I said, "Babe, I'm going to do it." And, she knew that I was about to leave, and we had a conversation, Mike, and like many of your guests, and, I was tired of my ideas getting shelved. And like many of your guests, I was also tired of not moving as fast as I wanted to. And like many of your guests, I was just ready to move at lightning speed. And she looked at me and she said, "Let's do this, babe. We got this." And so the following day, I was on the phone with my boss. I was giving my 2 weeks notice. I mean, I feel the stress right now, right? Of being there. It was 8 amazing years at Medtronic. I love them. They were just incredible. I learned so much. What I'm doing today wouldn't be possible without them. They were just an incredible development organization, an amazing leadership team. Huge kudos to Blake Tatum and Frank Chan for being amazing at what they do. And I those statistics that I shared with you, Mike, all these businesses that I saw, partnerships and things that we were doing, they were failing. And I was like, this shouldn't be, because we believe that if a company, an entrepreneur, is doing something to transform healthcare, to transform the lives of you, of me, of your family, of my family, of the listener's family, like, they shouldn't fail. And so that's where I made a choice in my heart that I needed to do more than just climb the ladder. And it was hard because things were going great. But it was harder to sit knowing that there was so much more that I could do inside of me. And I know that maybe some of your listeners listening feel that way right now, that there's something inside of them calling them to do more. And so for us, it meant going from climbing the ladder to helping 5,000 health technology businesses not fail, to succeed, so that we could improve the health system. And then the second reason is so that, like, I love being here with you, Mike, because you took the jump. And you're doing this, and you shared your story on our podcast. I was inspired by it. And we want to inspire people listening to take the jump, because we need more people to be leaders in the space.
Oh, that's great. And I really want to dig into your marketing expertise and your sales expertise. And so one of the, a couple of the things that you bring, which make you and your organization, I think, so attractive, is one is your enthusiasm for what you're doing. Second is just your smarts about it. And the third is your perseverance, your ability to dig in and stick with it. So I want to take those, things that I think are unique to you, your enthusiasm, your smarts, your tenacity, maybe that's the word I was looking for. And let's relate that back to Medtronic. Many of our listeners, because they're in human resources or in leadership roles, will know about someone named Bill George, who has probably been gone longer from Medtronic than he was there. Left Medtronic, had a big career at Harvard Business School, is the founder of something called Authentic Leadership, or I don't know if he's the founder of it. Thinking about your experience in these big organizations, I'm curious, what are 2 or 3 of the lessons that you learned about leading that gave you the guts, that gave you the tenacity, that gave you the ability to sort of launch out on your own? I get this epiphany moment you had, but something drove that.
Totally. Yeah, no, thank you. And by the way, I love Bill George. His book, True North, inspires a lot of the consulting we do, having that True North, an objective and a strategy, because tactics are the noise that you hear before the war is lost. For us, it is all about having that objective, clarity of objective. And so, the few things that stick out, I'll tell you, there was a gentleman about 10 years ago, Starfish Medical, Scott Phillips. Do you know Scott?
I know about the story. I don't know him though. Starfish Medical.
Yeah. So he basically did a study, and I remember interviewing him about 7 years ago. And he said, our research shows that people that are successful entrepreneurs, and in particular, it's med technology for him because that's his focus, are actually people that had successful corporate careers. So Scott actually planted a seed in my brain that said, hey, be successful, add value, learn the business, and that will be your foundation. And I'll tell you what, having been at really great companies, like Medtronic, I really learned structure. The structures that are important to make a business succeed. For example, the 3 points of integration. If any business is going to have alignment, and we always see, on the leadership front, lack of engagement is something that many organizations struggle. The reports from the Gallup organization are no surprise to any leader, right? Over 50% of the organization is disengaged, and 25% is actively disengaged. So with those numbers, the 3 points of integration that I learned, during kind of my time at Medtronic are key to kind of what's helping us be successful. And so what are those points of integration? Cultural integration, operational integration, and financial integration. And they happen in that order. And it starts with hiring. And that's the cultural integration, making sure that everybody understands the mission, vision, values. Alleviate pain, restore health, extend life. Like, I still remember it, right? Like that's the Medtronic thing. For us, we help health leaders fulfill their maximum impact potential. Everybody on my team is expected to know that, because that is our driver. That's our true north. And so that's the cultural integration. And then you go to operational integration. Operational integration is all about having your place in the organization, your function, your KPIs, and your metrics that create that feedback, objective feedback on your performance. And are you doing your job, and are you not? And the accountability to let you know that you're not, and the communication and the empathy to coach you up to make sure that you are, or to find you a different place in the organization. That operational integration is critical. And then last but not least, the financial integration is all about having clarity in the strategic and operational plan, and making sure that we know what the objectives are, and understanding what each individual member's contribution to the financial top and bottom line is key. So you could even like to the lowest member of the team say, hey, these cold calls that you're making, they're all part of the big plan, and these are your goals, and this is how you're a part of us hitting the quarter, and this is how you're going to make your bonus, and this is how our company is going to grow. To the CEO of the company, being able to learn those things and see them in action, and have those end of year reviews and the mid year check-ins, all of that structure, I have learned, Mike, that people that just went in on entrepreneurship didn't have that, so they have to learn all this stuff, right? And so I was able to walk into, this risk, but frankly, kind of with a trampoline under me, because I've had the exposure to these types of structures.
That's such a great way of putting it, that this three-legged stool of culture, operations, finance, blending all of those together to create not only a successful enterprise for yourself, but to bring that back, add that value back to your customers. And so we'll have this in the show notes, but I am curious, just for, maybe somebody's listening at their kitchen table or they're at their desk. If they wanted to get in touch with your company, how would they do that?
Sure. Yeah. For anybody that wants to work with us, we're exclusively in healthcare. If you're looking to take your marketing game to the next level, we work with companies above $1 million in revenue, or if they've raised more than $5 million in venture capital. If that's you, then we are your home for rapid growth. The URL is outcomesrocket.com/grow. In there, we have a 20-minute Get More Customers Blueprint session where we'll literally walk through any idea that you have, and we'll put together a plan that if you take and activate, you'll be able to grow your business with.
Well, that's amazing. So it's outcomesrocket.com /grow.
Yep. Grow.
Yeah. So it'll be in the show notes, and we'll have some other places where you can visit with Saul. But you make some distinctions in terms of revenue size, companies that you're willing to work with. What led you to that criteria?
Yeah, no, Mike, I appreciate the
You're a
question.
marketing guru, so we're going to ask.
Look, the you guys have probably heard the quote, "The riches are in the niches,"
Huh.
and what that means is if you're able to niche down, it's hard too. Like it's hard to feel like you're leaving people out. But the truth is, when you leave people out, you're inviting very specific people in. So people self-qualify, and so when you do that, you're able to really speak directly with your messaging, whether it be a podcast like we're doing now with Mike, whether it be the copy on your landing page or a webinar or an interview with a journalist. If you have your key target person and organization size in mind, your messaging becomes that much more powerful, because if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one.
What I really love is that you are leading by description a full service marketing agency team that really helps to accelerate growth. And it's a challenging market for so many. What do you see? I mean, what trends are you noticing? What are you observing in your world?
Mike, thank you so much for that question. In marketing, it is challenging, and what I want to leave everybody with is it is actually not that complicated. Anything that happens in marketing falls under one of three buckets, and those buckets are owned media, earned media, and paid media. Owned media is all the assets that you have, like your website. A podcast could be a podcast that is yours. SEO efforts, email, right? That's all examples of owned. Earned media is opportunities on what we call OPS, other people's stages, whether they be digital podcasts or webinars or a media outlet. Those are other people's stages. And then finally, you have paid. Paid is all the paid efforts that you could do, such as going to conferences to get access to your niche audiences. It could be paid advertising on social media. It could be programmatic ads or putting ads inside of a journal where your target audience is reading. Different things like that. And it's about accelerating your reach once you have your messaging down and you know that it's converting, because your organic data and conversions show it. Now you want to get more faster. That's where you activate paid. So if anybody tries to tell you that it's complicated, they're trying to sell you something. Everything falls into one of those three buckets. And if your game, depending on time, we could kind of give an example in one of the buckets, 2 or 3, to help people get some takeaways that they could action and really help grow their business.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that. And, I think about your role as founder and CEO. Many of my clients are in that same boat. They're founders. They've been able to take an idea, an innovation that they have, and they've been able to scale it to some significance and get other people aligned around it or willing to purchase their innovation. It's not easy, I don't think, as I've observed and coached and worked with many of these people, to focus on all of these items: culture, operations, money, finance. So for you, when you think about that, what were some of the unique leadership strengths that you brought to it? Given, I love your expression that you had this trampoline, this foundation behind you, but what drives you in that regard?
Mike, your question, triggered a memory. There was a point when I first took the jump where I honestly was, I was really doubting myself. I was hitting a wall, and I was stuck, and things weren't working out for about a month or two there. And I had to do some very serious introspection on what was happening. And it's so crazy how your mind plays tricks on you. But after some digging, I realized that I was kind of self-sabotaging. I realized that there was this part of me saying, hey, don't worry. If this thing crashes and burns, you're so good at being an executive, you could go back to that. Don't worry. And I had to quiet that voice, because that voice was giving me an excuse. And I really had to climb out of that. And really, in speaking with mentors and kind of being in a couple groups, I was able to see the light. So that's why, Mike, I feel like the service you do is so crucial, because, man, I don't think I could have gotten out of that funk by myself. So the coaching that you do, the advisory work that you do is so important to entrepreneurial success in our society. So I want to give you kudos, because it's hard to see beyond yourself sometimes. But out of that, I got out of that, and then I sort of just, got back to work. And one of a book that I really like is called Rocket Fuel. I don't know if have you read it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so essentially highlights two roles within a business: the visionary and the integrator. And so I am a visionary in that model. So the visionary has the big ideas, is innovative, is great at sales, and can paint the vision for the future, and then goes for the hill and gets people inspired. But along the way, some of the challenges are, the details, the day-to-day tend to fall through the cracks. And that's where the integrator comes into play. Their strengths are bringing everything together, making sure that there's solid project management, making sure that everything happens. And so I, at the very beginning, made sure to surround myself with team members that, like my operations manager, Daniela, she is incredible. She keeps the ship tight. She talks to all of our team on the production side and makes sure that they're doing great. So, always making sure that I have someone to kind of make up for where I lack is key, because, humans are the multiplier. I'm almost done with this course that I'm doing with an organization, kind of some consulting. And what they say, it's the 3 Ps. It's promote, profit, process. And promote, profit, process is in that order. And you guys remember we talked about 50% of businesses fail at 5, and then 97% fail at 10. So the number one reason businesses fail is because lack of product demand. And the number 2 reason is because of lack of profitability. So promote is all about promoting so that you don't have lack of product demand. And then profit is the second P, and it ties to that second reason people fail is profitability. So making sure that your financials are strong so that you're running a healthy business and not having to make short-sighted decisions. Process is the process of putting processes in place, standard operating procedures that will ensure that the system's running smoothly, that you could train others. But the 4th P that I haven't mentioned is the multiplier, and that's people. And the process and the SOPs are what really where the people come in, because without the people, you're not going to build anything great. So the people are the ones that help you create the business. People move businesses. Businesses don't move people.
Boy, that's for sure. And my next book coming out in October, The People Dividend, Leadership Strategies for Unlocking Potential, really is all about that. And, in terms of revenue generation, profitability, nothing happens without people. And what I'm providing to leaders and managers based on the experiences I've had and working with my clients is so much of this is about things we've forgotten about: dignity, kindness, respect, all foundations to creating a dividend, to getting the most out of people. I once worked with an executive of a very big multinational company who said to me, and I was depressed after, He said, if we could figure out a way to make money without people, we would. One of my most challenging clients, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Despite a very tremendously successful career. And this is listening to the Outcomes Rocket podcast for me is like business school in a box. Let's face it, there are a million podcasts out there. Yet, as you look at the roster of people you've been able to attract to your podcast, CEO, Chief Strategy Officer, CEO, this is really a business school in a box that I think serves this underlying purpose around your marketing message. And can you talk a little more about that, just a little more about, that service that you offer and how that comes to fruition in your clients and your customers?
Yeah. And hey, by the way, when does your book come out? Because I need a copy.
You'll get it. Don't worry.
The People Dividend.
Books are something you give away anymore. They're like business cards.
That is I love the title. And you kind of gave a sneak peek to my audience on the Outcomes Rocket about it. Like, dang, I want a copy, Mike. So I'll make sure. Can you pre-order it yet or not yet?
Not yet. Soon.
Not yet. Okay. Let me know. Because we definitely want to pre-order and support and read it. And like for us at Outcomes Rocket, again, it comes down to those three pillars of owned, earned, and paid. And if you want a place to start, I always say don't start with paid. start with owned and start with earned, and then perfect your personas and your messaging. I'm going to leave you with a quick tip is the one place where we find we can always gain extra value for clients is under owned within email marketing. So by revisiting your email marketing, and maybe you're saying, I've never done it. Oh man, that's great, because you're going to get so much value out of starting. You might say, I don't have an email list. Well, if you're in business, you have clients. That's your email list. And maybe it's your past clients that you haven't worked with over the past maybe 12 months. So now you have a segmented list. You have people that you work with today, and you have people that you haven't worked with for 12 months. Create a 3-part or 4-part email list and use ChatGPT. Tell ChatGPT, I am Mike Horne. I run an advisory firm and a coaching business. And I want to put together 2 email campaigns, one to people I haven't worked with in 12 months and another one to people that I'm currently working with. These are the things that I have coming up. You do like 3 bullet points, a new book, a new coaching service, and this and that. And then say, make these emails, and this is key, like 200 words or less, because that number is critical. You don't want to give people what we call brick walls. You see it and then you don't even read it. You move on, right? And make the subjects compelling. Like I would literally just give it that command. By the way, Gen AI is as good as the commands you could give it.
Yeah, true.
So definitely do that, and you'll have this list. Now, here's where you don't stop. So you get it, you program it, you send them out, but you pair this activity with social media engagement. And you pick your top, call it 25 people on that list, and you like and engage and comment on things that they're doing in social media, because you can't rely on an email to close for you. But an email can create awareness. And then your message will bump them again. And don't stop there, because in every effort, you need at least 3. So it's got to be at least a stool. This is omni-channel, right? You probably heard the term omni-channel. It's everywhere. When somebody says email is dead, that's because they're playing a single channel strategy. So the third one is pick up the phone. Call them. You worked with them in the past. You're currently working with them. Call them. Text them. Because, by the way, calling and texting, those are 2 channels, right? So you're now at 4 channels. So you've hit these people in a respectful way across 4 different channels. If somebody that communicates you across 4 channels, you've seen them and you've heard them. And the likelihood that one of those 25, or if your list is bigger, reaches out to you and engages in a conversation and you get a new contract, it's very high. I could guarantee you this one thing, you go do it and you're intentional about it, you're going to get a new contract within the next 2-3 months. And here's what I'm going to say, Mike. Oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, please.
The last thing. This is sad, but it's true. Only 2% of people listening to this will do it.
All right. It is the power of follow-up and follow-through and persistency and consistency that really does make a difference. And so we don't have much time left, but what I'm thinking is that, there are certain people who have one idea and they guard it closely and, hold on to it and don't let people invest in it. Really successful people, this just goes back to have lots of ideas and they're willing to communicate about those ideas. And it's a way of generating success for others, which I think you've been able to do in such an extraordinary way and in such a short time. You are, a marketing guru. It's a heavy label to lay on you.
I don't know.
It's a heavy label to lay on
but,
you.
We do our best.
And, again, if people want to get in touch with you, your business, your firm, to pursue the ideas that you're so good at doing, how would they get in touch with you and how would they do that?
Sure, Mike. Thank you. I want to say that it's outcomesrocket.com/grow. That's where you go. outcomesrocket.com/grow. I want to encourage everybody listening to be the 2%. I know I said that only 2% do it. This is true. And what I want to leave you with is this. There will come a time when it is your time. And maybe that time came and it left and you regret. But guess what? It'll come again, but you got to be ready. And when that time comes, you have to be ready to strike. The way you're ready to strike is by preparing. And the way you prepare is you do the work. So whether it's calling Mike to do coaching with him because you know it's what you should be doing, stop knowing you should do and do it. And my encouragement to you is prepare. If what you need to do is in marketing, then maybe this is the call for you. And if your business, meets the criteria of businesses that we work with, we want to extend an invitation to you to have that discussion with us. Because we know that when we partner with people that are like-minded, great things happen. And so prepare for that moment because it will come.
I love it. And, just as we wrap up, Saul, we're nearing the end of the year. We're in the home stretch here for 2024. And if you had one piece of advice, I could already name it, be the 2%. But if you had one piece of advice to offer our listeners, many in human resources, but many working in biopharma, biotech, tech, what would that piece of advice be as we, move to closing 2024?
Well, besides hiring Mike Horne and reading his book, I would say, in the spirit of our conversation, Mike, and everybody listening, I'd say be a go-giver. Be a go-giver. It's a book that I love. It's called The Go-Giver. If you haven't read it, read it or listen to it. But the whole idea is this. And Mike, this sort of like came from what you said about people holding on to ideas. Mm-hmm. Don't hold on to ideas. Like put them out there, give them away. Obviously, you have a business, right? So I say that, tongue in cheek, but share freely and add value. Be a go-giver, because the way the world works, it's like what you put out there comes back. And we give a lot at Outcomes Rocket. I give a lot personally. We've been blessed. And I thank God for, all the opportunities that we've been given. And certainly want to recommend that everybody think about that. Be a go-giver.
Amazing, Saul. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight to have you. Saul Marquez, the founder and CEO of Outcomes Rocket. Please take a look at in the show notes, all the ways to be in touch with Saul and his business. But you can start right at outcomesrocket.com and explore there. So until the next episode of the People Dividend, I encourage everyone to stay well. And the final thank you to our delightful and amazing guest, Saul Marquez. Thank you, Saul.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.